Come on.
Yeah, I think just warm it up a little bit. Yeah. But you gonna about that? Because I don't know if I can. That's it. Oh, cool.
You want to sit for some time?
I can't Probably not today, then?
Oh, 6 hours.
6 hours.
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesa Sunnavadi Paschatto Desatarine Namaste. You can open it. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Dalila Vishtam Vishnupat Paramhamsa Parivrajacharya Stotra Srishimad, His Divine Grace, ISKCON Founder Acharya Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki Nityalila Vishtam Vishnupat Paramhamsa Parivrajacharya Stotra Srishimad, His Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananda Guri Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Namacharya Haridas Thakur Ki प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्त वृंदा की श्री गोप गोविनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की श्री वृंदावन मथुरा धाम की मायापुर नवद्वीप धाम की श्री छत्रपुरी धाम की गंगा माए जमुना माए की भक्ति देवी तुलसी महारानी की हरिनाम संकीर्तन की श्री बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन की श्री राधा गिरिधरी की श्री गौरनिताय की श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा की श्री प्रहलाद नरसिंह देव की ISKCON गुरुवृंदा की समेत गौर भक्त वृंदा की निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे all glories to the small devotees, all glories to the small devotees, all glories to the small devotees, all glories to Guru and Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Namaste Narasimhaya Namaste Narasimhaya Prahlada Lada Daine Prahlada Lada Daine Hiranyakasipu Vakshaha Hiranyakasipu Vakshaha Silatankana Kalaye Silatankana Kalaye Ito Nrisingha Parato Nrisingha Ito Nrisingha Parato Nrisingha Yato Yato Yami Tato Nrisingha Yato Yato Yami Tato Nrisingha Baher Nisinga Hridaya Nisinga Baher Nisinga Hridaya Nisinga Narasingha Madim Saranam Prapade Narasingha Madim Saranam Prapade Avagara Kamala Bare Nakham Adbhuta Singha Nalita Hiranyakasipu Tanabringa Kesapadhita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisa Hare Jai Jagadisa Hare Jai Jagadisa Hare Tavakara Kamala Bare Sabadhita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisa Hare Jai Jagadisa Hare Jai Jagadisa Hare Jaya Nisingade, 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 Jaya Nisingade. Jaya Vakta Pralad, Vakta Pralad, Vakta Pralad, Jaya Vakta Pralad. सर्वविघ्न विनाशकारी श्री नृसिंहदेव भगवान की भक्तराज प्रहलाद महाराज की निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल।
Hare Krishna. Gauranga. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Ram. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Ram. Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivana Dari. Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivana Dari. Sodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Jasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Jamuna Dhira Vanachari. Yamuna Dhira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabiyari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabiyari. Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivana Dari. Sodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Jasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamispat Paramahangsa Pravachakacharya Asatas of Shishimad, His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki. Ananda Gaudavai Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Premsika Host Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasti Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai, Shri Shri Radhakrishna Gopinath Samakun Radhakun Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Shiva Navadam Ki Jai, Shri Maya Panavadam Ki Jai, Gangamaya Ki Jai, Jamunamaya Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Samveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai, Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai, Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, Gaur Premanandi, all glories some devotees, all glories some devotees, all glories some devotees, all glories, Shri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Hare Krishna. So we're going to read this evening from the Bhagavad Gita as it is. Some of you may have heard of this book before. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're going to go right up to the 18th chapter. Actually, Prabhupada mentions that the Bhagavad Gita ends in the 17th chapter. But the 18th chapter is kind of like an addition to the Bhagavad Gita, which is kind of interesting. So I'll just say it myself. Matsyatas harvadurgani matprasada tarishasi atachetvang ahankarang nasroshasi vinangshasi. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. If you become conscious of me, you will pass over all the obstacles of conditioned life by my grace. If, however, you do not work in such consciousness but act through false ego, not hearing me, you will be lost. Purport. It's a very nice purport. So, listen carefully, it's very nice. Prabhupada's purports are like slokas in themselves. Each sentence is like a sloka. It's so much realization. Prabhupada says, a person in a full Krishna consciousness is not unduly anxious about executing the duties of his existence. The foolish cannot understand this great freedom from anxiety. The karmas are always in so much anxiety, bills to be paid, and family problems, and just so much anxiety. Devotees, Vaikuntha. It's like Prabhupada used to say that he would, when he first arrived from India in New York City, he was preaching, and he was saying that actually I'm here in New York, but I'm not here in New York. I'm in Vrindavan. Because he was always thinking of Krishna, no anxiety. He had such a big challenge to spread Krishna consciousness in the West, but he was chanting Hare Krishna, just see what Krishna wants, try his best. So there's no anxiety. For one who acts in Krishna consciousness, Lord Krishna becomes the most intimate friend. It's like we all want to have friends, isn't it? Everybody wants to have friends, not just a few. We want to have a lot of friends, isn't it? Good friends. I mean, it's actually rare for someone to have one or two, or to speak of three really good friends. Now, what is a good friend? What's the definition of a good friend? A friend in need is a friend indeed. Okay, if your friend needs something, you help him. That's natural. But trust is a big thing about friendship. Just like imagine there's two friends, teenagers, good friends, very, like in America they say blood brothers, just really close, And one of them becomes very wealthy. And the other one is just, average person, just getting by. But the person that's kind of just getting by, he steals a lot of money from his close friend that has a good amount of money. So then he finds out, the person whose money was stolen finds out that his friend stole money. Now, immediately what happens? Friendship is lost. The trust is lost. You can't trust him. So trust is very important. And to mend a relationship, just like we all had this wonderful relationship with Krishna. Wonderful relationship with Krishna. But then we got a little sidetracked and we wanted to be Krishna. So now we're trying to mend that relationship. So just like these two people, there's one that stole from his friend, the rich friend. To mend that relationship is very difficult because the trust is lost. So now we're trying to mend. You understand the word mend? Trying to fix this relationship again so that we could have a loving relationship with Krishna. Not easy. But it's possible because that relationship is there in the heart. Just has to come out. So that's what this process is about. This chanting of Hare Krishna, this hearing about Krishna, this reawakens our loving relationship with Krishna. And then, when we've done that, when we've mended our relationship with Krishna again, we're completely satisfied. This is the goal. He always looks after his friend's comfort, and he gives himself to his friend, who is so devotedly engaged, working 24 hours a day to please the Lord. Therefore, no one should be carried away by the false ego of the bodily conception of life. One should not falsely think himself independent of the laws of material nature or free to act. So these are some of the obstacles. This false ego, that we're thinking that we're this body. That's a major obstacle in our journey back home, thinking that we're the body. And when we think that we're the body, then we want to try to enjoy the body. But Krishna, he's Bhoktaram Yagatapasang Sarvalokam Mahiswaram Surdang Sarbhutanam Gyatmamam Shantim Richasi. He's the enjoyer. We're the servants. It's difficult to grasp that, because we want to be the enjoyers, and it's natural. Actually, that's one of our natures: eternality, knowledge, and bliss. So that's one of our natures, that we want to be happy. But we have to understand and realize that that's only there when Krishna is there. If we try to enjoy without Krishna in the center, then we're going to be frustrated. And that's what we see throughout the world, so much frustration. People taking alcohol and drugs, and so much divorce, and just so troublesome, so many problems. Because Krishna is not in the center. As soon as you put Krishna in the center, everything becomes beautiful, everything becomes wonderful. And then they want to be independent of the laws of nature. Like, I have a brother, I call him a born-again atheist. He's a real fanatical atheist. So he said to me, I don't have to do anything. I don't have to do anything. He's so proud. But there's so many things he has to do. Like, he's working to keep a roof over his head. Okay, stop working. Stop going to the bathroom. So many things you have to do. Stop paying taxes. Everybody's paying taxes. Can't get away with it. So there's so many things we have to do, but people want to be independent of the laws of nature. Stop eating. Drinking. Stop drinking. So many things we have to do. But people want to be independent because they're trying to be Krishna. And Krishna, he's Swarat, he's completely independent. We're minutely independent. And we we have a minute choice, we can do this or that, but if we do the wrong, we choose the wrong thing, then we have to suffer the consequences. But Krishna, he never does the wrong thing, actually. That's God. He always does the right thing. He always knows what to do. And this is one of the symptoms of a devotee. They know what to do and what not to do. Non-devotees don't know what to do, don't know what not to do. So therefore we're trying to be devotees. So Prabhupada continues, he is already under the strict material laws, but as soon as he acts in Krishna consciousness, he is liberated, free from the material perplexities. One should note very carefully that one who is not active in Krishna consciousness is losing himself in the material whirlpool, in the ocean of birth and death. It seems kind of like you get caught in a whirlpool. You get caught in a whirlpool. Like imagine like in the ocean. They have big whirlpool. You get caught in a whirlpool, just pulled down. What can you do? So people are caught in this whirlpool of birth and death, material perplexities. to get out. I mean, because the water is very forceful. You get in a whirlpool. To get out is very difficult. To swim out, just like even in the ocean here, sometimes they have these tides that pull you down. You had that experience? You're just trying to get to the shore. It's like you keep getting the water. It's from the under. It's like pulling you, trying to pull you out again. It's even something like that, or on the beach, or what to speak of a whirlpool. So to get out of this whirlpool of material existence, we need the mercy of Krishna and Krishna's devotees. Otherwise, no hope. One should note very carefully that one who is not active in Krishna consciousness is losing himself in the material whirlpool, in the ocean of birth and death. No conditioned soul actually knows what is to be done and what is not to be done. But a person who acts in Krishna consciousness is free to act because everything is prompted by Krishna from within and confirmed by the spiritual master. Om Jnana Timarandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshuram Militam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Mukam Krotavachalang Pangunlang Hayate Garim Yat Kripa Taraham Bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam Vanchakapachubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So this class is about how to overcome the obstacles on our path to bhakti. So one of the biggest obstacles is this desire to enjoy sense gratification. It's kind of like we're getting nagged. We get nagged again and again, trying to, here, enjoy this way, enjoy this way. You know, desires are entering into the mind, and then externally there's so many, getting prompted by so many desires externally. In the Srimad Bhagavatam it's stated, Samsara kupe patitang visayam uksteksnam grastam kala hinatmam konya tratum adhishvara. That the intelligence of the living entity is stolen away by the activities of sense gratification. And in this condition one falls down into the well of repeated birth and death. And within that well one is seized by the deadly serpent of time. And who can save one from such a situation but the Supreme Personality of Godhead? So the intelligence is stolen away by the activities of sense gratification. Yeah. But what is higher than the intelligence? There's gross matter, then there's the senses. Senses are above gross matter. The mind is above the senses. Superior to the mind is the intelligence, and superior to the intelligence is the soul, yes. Atma, the Alma, the soul. So, by hearing about Krishna, we purify the mind and we purify the intelligence, so that we could get closer to Krishna. So it's all about this connecting to Krishna, to purify the mind, to purify the intelligence, to purify our senses as well. In the spiritual world they also have senses, but their senses are purified. They only want to engage their senses in the service of Krishna. Just like a pure devotee, Srila Prabhupada, he engaged his senses in the service of Krishna, not for any material purpose. And the more we also engage our senses just in the service of Krishna, the more we get purified. Iha yasya harer dashe karmana manasagira nikila sapyasasu jivan mukta suushite. That anybody who engages their mind, body, and words in the service of Krishna is liberated even in this lifetime. We don't have to wait to go back home to be liberated. If we engage our mind, body, and words in the service of Krishna, Krishna is pleased, and he gives himself Ye yatamam papadyante. All of them, as they surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. So we have to engage our senses in the service of Krishna. Of course, the most important, which is the most important sense for a devotee? The hearing. A devotee sees by hearing. It's described, I think Chanakya Pandit, that the dog, they see with their nose. Therefore you see them always going around smelling. Smelling. And the karmas, they see with their eyes. They're always looking at something, just flicking. Therefore the televisions and the movies, there's so much, just got to keep their eyes engaged, just moving the eyes. Devotee sees with the ears. Because we can, he's called Jnana Chakshus. He sees with knowledge. So he hears, he understands. So he can see with knowledge from hearing. Also in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains how these desires, they come. Apoyamana machala patishtam samudamapa pavasanti yadva tadvat kama yang pavasanti sarve sasantim apnoti nakama kami. One who is not disturbed by the incessant flow of desires which enter like rivers into the ocean, which is ever being filled but which is always steady, alone achieves peace, and not the person who strives to satisfy such desires. So we've all had the experience that desires are coming, material desires are coming, but we let them go. With knowledge, we let them go. But they're spiritual desires. Those we keep. Those we keep. Those desires to serve Krishna, to serve Krishna's devotees. It's like there's one instance where Prabhupada was at a temple, and the temple president said to Prabhupada, Prabhupada, here at this temple we have a very strong desire to distribute your books. Prabhupada said, very good. Don't let that desire go. So some desires we want to keep. The desire to chant Hare Krishna, the desire to hear about Krishna, the desire to serve the devotees, to serve Krishna, all these desires, we want to keep those and guard them so we don't lose them. We want to keep those desires. But all these other material desires, let them go. They'll come. Let them go. And how do we let them go? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. We replace those desires with the desire to serve Krishna. And also we should pray to Krishna to be free of these desires. Man proposes, God disposes. And Krishna, he wants us to go home. Much, much, much more than we want to go home. He wants us to go home. But he wants to see that this is what we want. So therefore there's tests. Sometimes Krishna will test us. These obstacles, these obstacles are actually good because they help us to become strong. There's one example I heard recently that there was one gentleman at his home and he saw a cocoon, and he saw that the butterfly was trying to get out of the cocoon, and he saw the little hole was made and then no more progress. It just, the butterfly stopped there. So he thought, maybe I'll help out. So he got a razor blade and he cut through. Didn't harm the butterfly, but cut through the cocoon, and the butterfly was free. But there was a problem. It couldn't fly. By nature's arrangement, the butterfly struggles to get out of the cocoon, and while it's struggling to get out of the cocoon, there's liquids going into its wings, so that when it's finally out of the cocoon, it can fly. But the butterfly didn't have that struggle. Didn't go through that struggle, so the liquid didn't go into it, so it never flew. So struggle is good. Anxiety is actually, there's spiritual anxiety. Like there's one instance where a Sankirtan devotee went to Prabhupada, and Prabhupada said to Prabhupada, the Sankirtan devotees here, some of them are saying that it's too much anxiety to try to convince people to take a book and give money. And Prabhupada said, no, this is good anxiety, this is spiritual anxiety. Just like Mother Yasoda, she was in anxiety about Krishna. She wants to feed Krishna. And the gopis were in anxiety that Krishna is out in the forest and he's walking and so many pebbles are touching his feet. So they're in anxiety. Even Prabhupada said they're fainting because of so much anxiety due to seeing Krishna in the forest barefoot. So anxiety is good.